Hello everyone, welcome back to Changfied YouTube channel, your trusted source for latest update across South Sudan and beyond. In today's report, we look at three major developments. First, we examine the killing of a community chief in Pochalla County. Second, we'll talk about, we report on the death of a motorcycle taxi rider in eastern Equatorial State following an ambush on the Torit Imotong Road. Finally, we will provide an update on the ongoing court proceeding involving the suspended first by President Dr. Machar and other accused individuals. Let us begin with our first story. A respected community leader has lost his life in an attack near Pochalla town. According to local police authorities in Pochalla, South County, the chief of Lokri village, identified as Okongo Omot Okot, was killed on Thursday after army men opened fire on him and two other people. Police officials explained that the chief had left home with two companions and traveled toward the Akobo River area to fish. However, their journey ended in tragedy when they encountered army attackers. Colonel Amati Ushan, who served as the police inspector in Pochalla, said the incident took place only a short distance from where the group had started their trip. According to his account, the three men had traveled about 8 kilometers from their residence when they came under attack. The police officer stated that local youth organized themselves early the following morning to recover the ship body from the area where the attack occurred. At the time of the report, authorities were still gathering information about exactly what happened and who may have been responsible. Well, the police inspector suggested that the attacker could possibly have originated from a neighboring area within Pibor County. However, he stressed that investigations were still ongoing and that no final conclusion had been reached. He explained that more detail would become available once the group that went to retrieve the body returned and shared their findings. Meanwhile, officials within the Greater Pibor administrative area indicated that they had not yet received an official report concerning the incident. Jacob Wershumjuk, the information minister of the administrative area, expressed surprise that his office had not been informed about the attack. He noted that because Pochalla fall under the administration of the Greater Pibor administrative area, official communication regarding such incident is important. At the time of his statement, he said neither his office nor that of the chief administrator had received formal notification. The killing of Chief Okongo Omot Okot has raised a concern among residents, especially given the important role community leaders play in maintaining peace and resolving disputes at the local level. Traditional chiefs often serve as a bridge between communities and government institutions. They help mediate conflict, encourage reconciliation, and promote unity among residents. When such leaders become victims of violence, communities can experience fear, uncertainty, and a loss of confidence in local security arrangements. Residents in the area are now hoping that authorities will carry out a thorough investigation and ensure accountability for those responsible. As investigation continues, many people are also calling for stronger measures to protect civilians and community leaders who often work under difficult circumstances. We now move to our second story. Authorities in eastern Equatorial State have launched investigation following the killing of a motorcycle taxi rider during an ambush along the Torit Imotong Road. Well, before we proceed with this latest update, I would like you to tip the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell. Whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Well, according to this report, the victim has been identified as Samuel Oide, a 35-year-old motorcycle rider who was traveling from Tori toward Logiri village. Report indicate that he was transporting a passenger at the time of the incident. According to local officials, the two men were traveling through an area located between Imodonge and Logiri when they encountered army attackers. The assailant reportedly stopped the motorcycle and ordered both individuals to surrender. During the confusion that followed, the passengers managed to escape into nearby bushes. However, Samuel Oide was captured by attackers. He was later shot and killed. Local leaders have strongly condemned the incident and expressed concern over what they describe as growing pattern of violence affecting innocent civilians. Torit County Commissioner Lokang Charles Italian say the killing represented a troubling development because the victim had no known connection to any conflict. According to the commissioner, the two young men had simply been traveling along the road when they came face to face with armed criminals. One escaped while the motorcycle rider lost his life. Interestingly, authorities noted that the attacker did not take the motorcycle and did not steal any of the victim's belongings. This has led investigators to consider different possibilities regarding the motive behind the attack. Officials are now examining whether the killing may have been targeted, connected to revenge, or linked to another factor that has not yet been identified. Preliminary investigation reportedly revealed a footprint believed to belong to the attackers. These attackers were said to lead toward Aforere village. Community members have since joined effort to help identify those responsible. Jumajo Adriano, who served as a chairperson of the Imodongo community, said information provided by the surviving passengers suggested that the attack happened at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He expressed sadness over the loss of a young man who may describe as hardworking and dedicated to supporting his family. According to community leader Samuel Oide lived behind a wife and children. His death has therefore not only affected the wider community but has also deeply impacted those closest to him. Adriano stated that local youth had begun following the footprint left behind by the suspected attackers in hope of assisting authorities with the investigation. Meanwhile, the police commissioner of Eastern Equatorial State confirmed that investigations were underway. He urged community members and traditional leaders to cooperate closely with security forces or with security institutions. According to the commissioner, local residents often possess valuable knowledge about activities occurring within their community. He encouraged them to share information that could help identify criminals and bring them to justice. The police leadership also emphasized the importance of raising public awareness about security concerns and encouraging cooperation between citizens and law enforcement agencies. Civil society representatives have also voiced concern over the incident. Flora Sebit Jada, an activist working with an organization focused on women progress and development, reflected on how conditions have changed over time. She recalled that there was a period when people considered the route relatively safe. According to her observation, traveling were once able to move along the road without significant fear. However, the recent attack has raised fresh concern regarding security along important transportation routes. She called upon both communities and security institutions to work together to restore confidence and ensure that people can travel safely while conducting their daily activities. For many South Sudanese families, roads are lifelines that connect communities to market, school, healthcare facilities, and opportunities for economic activity. When insecurity affects these routes, the consequences extend beyond individual victims and can influence broader community development. Residents across the region are therefore hoping that those responsible will be identified and that effective measures will be implemented to prevent similar incident in the future. Those are our top stories for this segment. In the next part of our coverage, we will bring you detailed update from a special court proceeding involving Dr. Machar and several co-accused individuals, including testimony regarding the Y Army and developments surrounding the ongoing trial. We turn our attention to development from the courtroom in Juba, where proceedings continue in one of the most closely followed legal cases in South Sudan. The case involved several high-profile figures, including the suspended first by President Dr. Riek Machar and a number of other individuals facing serious charges related to events that took place in Nasser County in March of the previous year. As always, it is important to remember that the court process is ongoing. The individuals standing trial have denied the allegation against them, and the court has not yet delivered its final judgment. According to report from the latest court session held on Friday, one of the accused individuals presented his defense before the special court. Mampaldur, identified as the second accused person in the case, addressed the panel of judges regarding claim linked to the Y Army. During his testimony, Mampaldur stated that the Y Army operates independently and is not directed by any political organization. Mampaldur rejected suggestion that the army group function under the command of the Sudan People Liberation Movement in opposition or under Dr. Riek Machar, the political movement associated with Dr. Riek Machar. His remark came in response to allegations raised by the prosecution during the ongoing trial. The prosecution has argued that the Y Army may have been influenced by opposition forces during attack that occurred in Nasser County in March of the previous year, which is 2025. Those attacks reportedly targeted a military base and resulted in significant casualties among government forces. As the court session continued, presiding judges Judge James Alaladeng clarified regarding clarification regarding term used by Mampaldur during his defense statement. The judge referred to Mam mention of army use and asked whether he was speaking specifically about the Nuer Y Army. In response, Mampaldur explained that when he used the term army use, he was referring broadly to individuals living in his home area who possess weapons. According to his testimony, these individuals act independently and make their own decisions without receiving instruction from political leader or other authorities. He told the court that no single person controlled their activities. Mampaldur further stated that, in his view, these young men are responsible for their own action and do not operate under organized command structures connected to political organization. The judges also questioned him about allegations that he had provided financial support to army use. These claims had previously been mentioned by prosecutor and by an expert witness who had presented evidence before the court. Mampaldur strongly rejected these accusations. He denied ever providing support to army group and argued that documents presented during the proceeding had no direct connection to the Nasser incident under investigation. He maintained that he had not contributed money or resources to support violent activities. Another member of the judicial panel, Judge Stephen Simon bin Jigwa, raised questions concerning digital evidence that had been introduced during the trial. The evidence reportedly included messages, photographs, videos, and audio recording. The judge asked Mampaldur whether he knew where the digital forensic expert had obtained these materials. In response, Mampaldur stated that he did not know the source of the evidence. He further denied seeing, receiving, or responding to messages that investigation claim had been extracted from his mobile phone. According to his testimony, he believed there were inconsistencies in some of the reports presented before the court. He pointed to examples that he had said demonstrated a contradiction concerning the evidence associated with the first and second accused individual. Mampaldur referred to one conversation allegedly involving himself and another individual named William Deng. According to the forensic report presented by the investigator, there had been discussion regarding a transfer of 1,500 United States dollar from Port Kangchol to individual in Ulang. However, Mampaldo disputed this claim and questioned the reliability of the evidence being used against him. The special court listened carefully to these arguments as part of the broader defense process. Following the completion of Mampaldo's testimony, the court announced that proceeding would continue on Monday. The next stage of the trial is expected to involve the defense prosecution and another accused individual, Gadwech Lampoch. The legal proceedings have attracted considerable attention both within South Sudan and internationally because of the senior position held by some of those involved in the case. According to information presented during earlier stage of the trial, a total of 8 individuals are facing charges connected to the violence that occurred in Nasser County. The accused include Dr. Riek Machar, Port Kangchol Gadwech Lampoch, Lieutenant General Gabriel Doblam, Camilo Gan Michael, Mading Yak, Rick Dominic Gadgogrik, and Mampaldor. The charges brought against the defendant are serious and include accusations related to treason, crimes against humanity, murder, terrorism, and destruction of property. Prosecutor alleged that the event under investigation involved attack on a military installation belonging to the South Sudan People Defense Force, which is SSPDF. According to the prosecution case, government forces suffered heavy losses during the fighting. Investigator have also alleged that military equipment was either destroyed or taken during the clash. However, it is important to emphasize that these remain allegations presented by the prosecution. The defendant have consistently denied wrongdoing and continue to challenge the evidence brought before the court. At this stage, the court has not reached a verdict under a principle of justice and due process. All accused individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Observers continue to follow the proceeding closely, recognizing that the outcome of the case could carry important implications for the country political environment and ongoing peace effort. For many South Sudanese citizens, the trial represents more than a legal process. Some view it as an opportunity to strengthen accountability and confidence in national institutions. Others hope that the proceeding will contribute to truth, reconciliation, and long-term stability. Regardless of differing opinion, many people agree that the rule of law remains essential for building peaceful societies. A transparent legal process, respect for the right of the accused, and fairness toward victim all form part of effort to promote justice. As the hearing continues in the upcoming days, attention will remain focused on the evidence presented by both the prosecution and the defense. The court is expected to hear additional testimony before eventually reach its decision. For now, South Sudanese citizens and members of the international community continue to watch development carefully. That brings us to the end of this segment of our coverage. Well, if you are new here, please, I would like you to the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell, so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.